Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to it's Reality Realness, but it's also the block. I don't have anybody on the block with me today. I am sitting by myself as the solo evictee nominee. It's just me, Tutsul. So if you want to hang out, well, make sure that you've already done what you need to do, and that's subscribe to Reality Pop. We are going to be your next new hub for all things reality, and yeah, this is the block. So, I mean, this season I think has been going really, really well. We've had a few, not the greatest seasons of Big Brother Canada and the US. Like, I'm always going to watch Big Brother. I always find it entertaining enough. I've been a super fan, for the last over 20 years. So I'm always going to be watching Big Brother. But I'd say in the United States, the last maybe 8 to 10 season, I haven't been that big of a fan on. So it's really nice that this season of Big Brother Canada, it's really touching on all the diversity, and there's just different people that are part of this cast that we aren't used to seeing on our TV screens. And it's just really interesting to watch. So I don't say that they're doing necessarily the best gameplay this season, but I think that it's it's just really fun to watch. So this is episode 15. We're pretty much at the halfway point right now with Big Brother Canada season 9. And I think that, I wonder if the announcer, if somebody writes his voiceovers or if he creates them himself. Like, is that his job? He watches the live feeds and the episodes and he comes up with his own copy because he's like, the Sunsetters are back in the saddle. Who will Beth lasso to the block? I'm like, I mean, it's witty, it's smart, it's kind of funny. And so, yeah, I wonder who actually writes all that copy for him. Or, I wonder if it's him. It'd be a pretty good gig to be the announcer and write all that copy. So we start off kind of taking us back to Thursday night's episode. And on Thursday, it was the end of the head of household competition. So I was really happy that at least we got a finale of the episode, because they tend to not be wanting to conclude the episode. I want to see the head of household. I definitely do. I don't want a cliffhanger. I'm going to watch on Sunday. Most people that are watching Big Brother Canada are fans of the show. It's not really a type of show that you just watch a couple episodes here or a couple episodes there. It's like either you're in it or you're not in it. So I was really happy that they concluded Thursday night's episode. So today, Monday, we start off pretty much at the end of the head of household competition. So it was Big Brother calendar something. And basically we're answering questions from these calendars that they were waking them up in the middle of the night to go take a look at and seeing the different, find the differences, spot the differences, remember different features about each month of the calendar. So we're pretty much down to Brayden when they come back to this episode. Brayden goes out and it's down to Jed and Beth. So Jed and Beth, we know they're working together, and they go to a tie-breaking question, and the tie-breaking question is, how many days on the calendars did not have any sort of event on them? So Beth writes down 323, Jed writes down 63, and immediately I'm like, he's got to be throwing this one because, Beth's in power. I'm sure that he wants to be able to play and eligible to play next week, especially since there hasn't been a double eviction yet. I'm sure they're starting to think about the fact that there may be one coming. And they're actually really onto something, because we know as an audience that there is going to be a double eviction next week. So it's good on Jed to not want to win that one when he doesn't have to, and maybe save, the win for the following week. I wonder if it's going to be maybe an endurance challenge or how it's going to work out, because I can't help it. I'm team Jed and Ty. Like, I love them. I want them to do well. Beth is okay. I don't mind her being part of the trio, but as this week progresses, I'm just like, Beth, you're not doing what I want you to do. She's doing what's best for her own game, yes, but it's not necessarily what I want her to do necessarily. So Beth ends up winning this head of household, and obviously she's really excited. She goes to the defender bedroom and she's having a little celebration with Jed and Ty and Kiefer, like they seem to always do. But before that, though, Beth needs to name who are going to be the have-nots, and she doesn't even want to hide it anymore that she is, super loyal to the boys. She's like, I can't put my boys on slop, so it's going to be Brayden. Rohan, who I don't even know if he's had a week off of slop since he's been in the head of household house. Has he been in the Big Brother house? Tina and Tara. She's like, sorry, my loves, but I can't put my boys on slop. Which is like, come on. I mean, we know you're working together. We know you want them to stay strong and you want them to be like happy with you, but I don't know, maybe just try to be like, hey, take one for the team. But the boys didn't even offer it up. And both Tina and Tara were kind of annoyed that the boys didn't even want to offer up, like, hey, like, I feel bad. Like, we don't want you suffer anymore. Like, we'll go as a half nod. So, I mean, I don't know if I would, though. I would probably just be like, yeah, sorry. So Brayden, though, plans on working on his relationships, which is a really good thing. And that's something that I noticed this whole week with Brayden, is that he's been doing some work. And they did show a lot of it this episode, which I was really happy about. So we have Natalie joining us. Natalie, you're my co-host. You're on the block with me today, Natalie. So Natalie says, I would love to see Victoria play again, and I hope she will learn from the mistakes she made. Yes, I totally agree. I think that no matter what happens this week, that Victoria would be eligible or in talks of coming back for any sort of all-star or redemption type season. She's definitely made a big splash. Spicy V is a thing. I'm sure t-shirts are going to be made and whatnot. So it will. I can definitely see Victoria playing again. From what I've heard of her gameplay and even how people have been talking about her in the house, that she seems to want to have a lot of glory and a lot of, the fans enjoying her on the show. And she does really seem like she knows that she's making a television show, and she is a fan. But I don't know if she's actually playing to win or just playing to make good TV. And so that's where I think the fine line had to have been drawn. She made a lot of mistakes that were very entertaining to watch, frustrating for people like me that really like gamers. And yeah, I think that she could learn from her mistakes and come back and do a lot better, because she does have some great skills that would make her a great Big Brother player. So thanks for chatting, Natalie. Do you have any other questions? What do you think of the episode? Did you enjoy it? I like all the episodes this season. They've been entertaining. Sometimes they get boring, especially since, like, I watch the live feeds. So right now we're probably on like Friday of the live feeds. Like we're not even close to being up to date as to what's been going on, but hopefully Wednesday will show everything, because it was a pretty exciting Saturday and Sunday in the Big Brother world. So Beth goes to the defender room to celebrate, and Beth says to Jed, like, oh, I thought that you threw it, because Jed's saying, like, oh, like, I thought I counted backwards, I counted wrong, I counted how many days had activities or whatnot. But he did say that he did throw it with the intention that he'd be able to play next week in case it's something physical, which is, I think, a good idea, especially since he's canoodling with Beth. They're sharing a bed most of the time. I don't think that he should feel in any danger. So I probably would have done the same thing too, just to ensure my safety the following week. So we see Tara, and she feels like it's going to be her and Ro on the block. They're making slop. They're quite miserable. And I know that slop is pretty annoying, but it's not that bad. I don't know if I'd be offering it up if I didn't have to, but I probably would use it maybe as like a strategic point to be like, hey, like, I'm not on slop, but I don't want you to be in a bad position, head of household. Or no, do you know what, Rohan, you've been on slop for 3 weeks. Like, maybe I'll let you not be on slop again. But I think the boys just want him to be weak. So, I mean, I get it. So Tara feels it's going to be her and Ro, which is a pretty good inkling. And they're always also commenting on how the boys did not give up their food for the week, their haveness. They still let them all be on the block or on the slop, which is like, it's also part of the game. And I would want to have the full Big Brother experience. So I would want to be on slop at least once and just think of it maybe as a diet, because it has all the nutritional properties that you could ever want in, it's like an oatmeal, I think, with like protein powder. So Victoria, though, is already starting to suck up to Beth. I mean, to me, it seems really obvious because we see all sides of Beth and Victoria and who she's talking to and whatnot. And it seems as though Beth can tell, but she does a pretty decent job coming into the bathroom chanting season 9, final night, season 9, final 9. And kind of warning Beth that Rohan is most likely going to go on overtime, really trying to put doubt in Beth's minds, even though Victoria really she doesn't want to go up. And she is kind of working with Rohan. She's also kind of working with Kiefer, just kind of working like the oddballs. Like she is working with everybody in the house, but she's making it seem as though she is super loyal to the Ghost Peppers, which is Beth, Ty, Jed, and herself. Beth, though, in my opinion, seems to know how to manage Victoria. She kind of states like she knows that she kind of has to pump her tires a little bit, inflate her ego, make her feel part of the plan, be kind of excited about being part of the plan, so she's not worried and she's not kind of getting a little bit cagey and wanting to freak out. So I think that Beth does have a pretty good handle on Victoria. We see Rohan and Brayden talking about Braden being the one to go and pitch to Beth and say things like, Rohan is not coming after you, Beth. Rohan is going after the boys, and try to get it into her head. And it is a good idea for it to come from Brayden, because Rohan knows he's in the hot seat. Rohan is definitely targeting her 2 strongest alliance members. And if it comes from him, it just seems like a desperate plea. But if it comes from Brayden with a little bit of finesse, it could be incepted into the mind of Beth. Hi, BB. It was sad to see Vic being so happy without knowing what's going to happen. I know. Everything is very, very, it's like very ominous and there's a weird tone in the house, but that she can't seem to pick up. We can see it, but she can't see it. Or she can see it, but she hasn't been able to pinpoint as to what's going on. So TNT are talking and, basically Tara's like, oh man, it's a worst case scenario. And Tina's like, well, we always have to plan for worst case scenario, which is really true. And that's what I've noticed that nobody's been doing in the house is they're not planning for worst case scenarios. They're planning for the best case scenarios. Like, hey, what if I win? If I win, I get to do this, this, and this. And it's like, well, what if you don't win? And the most likely person to put you on the block and want you home is the one that wins head of household. Like, what do you do in that situation? They don't seem to be creating any contingency plans further down the line or for the negative things to happen or the least wanted or desirable outcomes to happen. So at least Tina is thinking a little bit like, it's always going to be worst case scenario. They haven't won yet. So especially with Tara too. Tara has been kind of bad-mouthing Beth. She hasn't been that kind to Ty. I'm not really sure about her relationship with Jed, but she obviously knows that she's going to be potentially going up because she hasn't really been kind to these people, and she is targeting them. So it's kind of the self-righteousness that comes with Tara sometimes about how she doesn't want to be up there, and that and even if she is up there, that she's like the target. It's just like, I don't know. I'm really over Tara. Natalie, B. Bean, are you guys fans of Tara, or how do you feel about her? She's definitely not my favorite. But worst case scenario is if Tina and Tara both go up together. Now, Rohan has been kind of the veto king so far this season. So if those two did go up, they could maybe hope that Rohan would win it and take one of them down, which would be like a pretty decent scenario. But yeah, they're just really worried that the two of them would go up together, and that would be a pretty terrible scenario for them both to stay in the house. Especially since it seems as though the theme of this season is to break up these duos, break up the triple, break up these pairs. And so if that's the case, Tina and Tara are a pretty tasty duo. But the fact that they haven't been winning anything, it doesn't make them as tasty as, you know, the trio, or who else is left? I guess that they're the only real duo that's left right now that people can see. Huh. So the trio is talking in the pantry, I believe, and talking about how Tara is already freaking out and that she's kind of making up all these scenarios about Beth targeting her and Beth hating her. And she just, if you watch the feeds this last few days, Tara has been freaking out. And I think it's actually her guilt and her conscience that's coming up. It's like she is targeting Tara, targeting Beth, targeting Ty, targeting Jed. Like she is, those are her targets. Those are who she wants out of there. And so I think the fact that she knows that her staying in the game, they are her target. I think that that's why she's so nervous, is that it's kind of like, doth protest too much. Like, why are you protesting too much? You guilty? What are you guilty for, Tara? That's what I think. Anyways. BB, not a fan of Tara. I hope she's not teaching your kids the bad stereotypes. I mean, I hope not, but I think that I don't even think that she's aware. And so it would be learned behavior by surroundings and by nurture or nature. Nurture or nature. I guess it's both. You know, I'm sure that the area that she grows up in and her kids are growing up in are going to have the same kind of learned biases that she does. And she's not necessarily as woke as maybe her sweatshirt says she is. So they probably are learning this, but they're going to be going through the school system and they'll probably get more education, and they will be on social media and they will be seeing more things to allow them to become more educated and a little bit more open-minded, I think, than their mom. So I do think that, I don't think she's teaching them, but I think that their surroundings are teaching them and what's informed her, and that eventually her kids are going to learn from what they consume on social media, more so about social norms and racial biases, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully they will get a better education. I don't know if it's going to be from her parents, though, I hope they will learn from their parents. I don't think that they will, which is really unfortunate. But maybe, though, after coming out of the house and seeing some of the comments and the tweets about Tara, maybe then she's going to maybe take a look and see where she's had some gaslighting and some racial biases that she's unaware of. So maybe she'll get educated and realize what she has been spreading. Maybe. I hope so. I hope so. So what do you guys think about them trying to convince Ty that reindeer are real? I can't tell if they believe it or not. What are your thoughts here, Natalie and BB? Because, like, I just thought it was really silly, but they didn't really have a conclusive answer. Like, does Brayden and Beth actually believe in a reindeer? And does Ty believe them? Like, that is the question of the hour. And I want to see this documentary about reindeer. So we get the classic, who wants to see my HOH room? And you see Tara down at the bottom of the stairs, like, yelling and pretending like she actually cares to go up and see it, which she doesn't. That's kind of my favorite part of the head of household reveal, is that there's so many people that just don't want to be there, but they have to pretend like they care because it's the head of household and they don't want to go on the block. So Tara was definitely faking her excitement, hoping that it wouldn't tip off Beth that she did not want to see her in that position. Beth gets a letter from her sister, and it was a nice letter. She got a little bit of emotional. I mean, people don't seem to really enjoy Beth, but I don't mind Beth. I like her. It could be because she's a Leo. I like Leos. She doesn't really seem to bother me. I mean, maybe it would be different living in the house with her. Maybe she's loud. Maybe she's annoying. But from what I've seen on the show and even on the live feeds, she doesn't really bother me very much. So I saw this next conversation on the live feed. So this is where Tara and Tina were talking to Jed. And so Tara is like, I don't think that I'm a safe pawn, and, you know, saying that she's trying to build a relationship with the trio, with the three of them for the last 2 weeks. And so what you didn't hear her say on the live feeds, which she said multiple times, which really, really annoyed me, was that for the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to build a relationship with you, the trio, with the three of you guys. And I'm showing you my loyalty by voting with you guys, even though it wasn't necessarily in my best interest to vote with you guys. And it's like, well, you voted with the house and you didn't have the numbers. And, you know, she was saying other times like, oh, well, I could have flipped the numbers. I could have had the numbers. And it's like, you didn't have the numbers, so you went with the house. You went against your own desires because you didn't have the capacity to flip it, or else you would have. It's like she's like, oh, look what I did to have this amazing relationship with you guys. And yeah, no, it's not it's not enough. They did those 2 weeks that you voted with the house isn't really showing your loyalty. It's showing that you didn't want to show that you are against them, in my opinion. BB, huh? I missed that. Reindeer, also known as caribou in North America, is a species of deer. Actually, stop it. I know caribou. So wait, am I wrong? I've just always thought that reindeer was just, it wasn't a real thing. I thought it was always caribou, and they were called reindeer because of cartoons. BB, I'm gonna have to look this up. Should I look this up now? Reindeer. Oh my God, this is too much. Is it real? Is it real? Guys. Oh, so it no way is a species of deer. I just know it is caribou. So it's Orangifer tarandus, also known as caribou in North America. It's a species of deer with circumpolar distribution, native to the Arctic, subarctic, and tundra, boreal, and mountainous regions in northern Europe, Siberia, and North America. I just always thought it was a caribou. Oh my God, I'm totally making fun of them, and I'm so wrong. Wow. Okay, well, this is real. This is real TV right now, because I just got made. Well, I didn't know that. Well, now I know that caribou and reindeer are actually the same thing. I thought that they were just called that for cartoons. So there's that. I feel really dumb. Oops. Okay, so back to Tara and Tina, though, like talking to Jed. That conversation went on for quite a while, and it went around and around in same circles. And, you know, Jed was doing the right thing, being like, well, nothing's really set in stone. You should still talk to her. Like, she has been hearing things that you have said. And the fact that when Tara's swearing up and down that she's never said anything about Beth, it's like, actually, you really have. And you've been saying a lot of things about Ty as well. And you've been saying that you've been coming after them. And I know you want to do whatever you can when you're on the block, and like you're gonna lie, cheat, steal, whatever. I get it, but it just frustrates me. And it's probably because I'm not a fan of hers, that she's making it seem like they're idiotic for wanting to put her on the block when she is 100% coming for them. That's kind of really, really annoying. She does say, Jed does say, though, if you do end up going on the block, you're not the target, which is very true. But she just thinks that she's going to be the target if she's up there. Whatever. So we see Spicy V going over talking to Kiefer and kind of being a little bit worried about kind of the smack talk that she was saying about Beth. They don't really bring it up on this episode that much, I don't think. But there was an instance where she was saying that she wanted to throw Beth's bag over the balcony. And so she's kind of like saying that with Kiefer in the room, I believe. Tara, Tina, and maybe even Brayden was there. And so she's kind of going over to Kiefer and being like, yeah, Kiefer, like Real Spice, like that's the only real duo that I'm like really super 100% loyal to. And like, oh shoot, I wish I hadn't said those things that I said about Beth, but like, and then Kiefer kind of flames the fire a little bit and talk about like, well, she is kind of annoying. She is annoying. And so making maybe, you know, Victoria feel a little bit, you know, making Vic feel fine about what she said. And I think, though, at this point that Kiefer knew that Victoria was being in the talks about being a potential backdoor possibility. So Brayden is talking to Rohan, and he wants to basically direct the trio away from Victoria. So he talks to Beth, away from Rohan onto Victoria. So talking to Beth, he's like telling her all about what Victoria has been doing. And this is exactly what BB's talking about here. It's like, why was Vic bragging about her wins to Brayden? Well, because Vic loves like winning and she can't really keep a secret. And she does want to have, she wants that her ego to be kind of inflated by her wins and people thinking that she's like a really good player and that she's makes big moves and she's a comp beast. Like she does enjoy having that kind of attention. And so I think with her just kind of bragging a bit, she wants to just kind of make herself feel better in the eyes of Brayden. And it's also a way to bond with people. You kind of want to talk about how shitty other people and how good you are with people as a way to bond with them. So I think she's just trying to bond with Brayden and put down the boys. I guess, but I think she forgot about the fact that it was going to be a big tell on the fact that she was the ghost HOH, which I think really was probably the nail in the coffin here. Because when Brayden is talking to Beth and telling Beth about things that Victoria said, you know, this being one of them, that she, you know, that she would put up that Jed and Beth, like these things are all like sounding or really more like, oh my goodness, like she really is talking about us. Like this isn't good. Like I thought that the ghost peppers were a thing, but maybe not. Like this sounds like things that Victoria would do. And the fact that she's been lying for the last week and lying quite well and being like, oh my God, I would never do such a thing. That is problematic to people that are working with you. And so it becomes really easy for her to believe the things that, well, I mean, they're true, but to believe what Brayden is saying. So do you guys get to vote? I don't know where you guys watch Big Brother, but do you get to vote on the have-nots? I've actually never done it personally. I probably will vote this week just because. But every week it seems as though the have-nots get the opportunity to, one of them gets to be taken off at the end of the week and get like a skip the ditches meal voted in by Canada. So with it being Rohan, Tina, Tara, and Brayden, I think they'll give it to Brayden again. What do you guys think? Do you think that they'll give it to Brayden or Rohan? And do you guys get to vote on that? Are you guys able to? Question. So we hear over the loudspeaker, and I thought this was a really nice moment. We hear like, hello, Kiefer, and then, you know, other hellos and speaking to everybody in the house, and we kind of realize it's everybody's family. And so they all run into the living room, and they see these video messages from everybody's family. So we see, first off, I thought that it was Ty's brother, but it was Ty's father. It has a little bit of a little dig at Ty, you know, you're my third favorite on the show, which was cute. Definitely laughing with his dad there. I believe it was Victoria's boyfriend. I didn't see what the name tag said. Jed's older brother is good looking. That's some good genes are happening there with his family. I liked his fake tears fake out. Tina had her partner, her dog, and her mother give her a little message. And I'm pretty down with the Big Brother sweatshirt with Tina's East Coast Canada accent. I think I'd actually buy a Big Brother t-shirt. I think it's pretty awesome. Beth's whole family was there. Brayden's gorgeous sister leaves him a message, his younger sister, I believe, and she's super beautiful as well. I mean, everybody was gorgeous, including Rose's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Show, which is what they were calling them. Kiefer's girlfriend and their kids, and then Tara's husband and her kids. Tara's wearing the Team Tara t-shirt, and her kids look super cute. Her husband's quite handsome, and she is reminded why she's here and how grateful she is for having this experience, and that she's not going to go down without a fight. So I'm happy to see her rejuvenated and wanting to stay in this game, even though I don't think that she's the big target here. I like seeing that she's rejuvenated in a way for her family, for sure. The family messages were very nice. Yes, they were, BB. I agree. So Tara was talking to Beth. Okay, so it didn't show this as well, but this is what she said when she went to talk to Beth. She's like, yeah, this is like the only conversation that I'm going to have about you about this, because I'm just going to have the one. But like, I don't want to pin women against other women, but it's like, you're always going for her. Like, I know now she's saying that she's going for Jen and Ty, but like, she always had a problem with Beth. Like, that was from week 1. She had a problem with Beth. But Beth does say, I don't want you to go home with me this week. And Tara's like, but I'm going to be going up. And she's like, yeah, pretty much you're going to be going up. But if you go home, something is completely wrong, because that's not what I want to happen. And they didn't show this, though. It was a bit of a dig. Beth is like, just like, I don't mean to be mean, but like, there's other bigger targets in the house, and I don't think that you are the move this week. I don't think you're the big target to be getting out. So you are not my target this week, no matter what. And so, which is true. She's not that, she hasn't been capable of winning anything. If there's a wall comp or like some sort of endurance, she definitely has the petite frame, to hang on forever. I do feel like she'll have the will and determination. She's a spin instructor, so I can see her lasting on that wall for a very long time. She's kind of perfect for it. I just don't know if it will be for the double eviction. So maybe it will be the second head of household. So depending on if she makes it through the first, eviction, which most likely she will, maybe the one that would be exit from the show. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but she could win the endurance challenge. I wouldn't be surprised there at all. So I've been loving, though, Braden's arc, because he even calls it out, like, up until this point, he's kind of been laying in the background, not offering a lot of strategy, a lot of, shaping the direction of how the season is going, but he's quite aligned with Rohan. And so it's in his best interest to have Rohan stay in this game. And so he's talking to Beth, he's listening, he's guiding the conversation. This is really where he's selling out Victoria, wanting Victoria to be the target here. He thinks that Victoria is actually jealous, which we know that is true, of Beth and the boys, because Victoria wants to be in that spotlight with them. She wants to be. That's why she took out Latoya. That's why she doesn't want Beth to be there, because she does want to be in with those two guys. Not for anything like relationship-wise, but I think that she just wants that attention. And so she feels as though if Beth isn't there, she will be able to be in there and get the attention from the guys. And I think the guys will also help her get to the end of the game. She does have some good pitches. I don't know if was this on the show? I don't know. She doesn't feel anyways that she will be good in later competitions. She doesn't have a really good memory. She doesn't think that she'll be good at anything super physical. And so it would be a good idea to keep her around. And that's why she wanted to latch onto the boys. So if that's true, maybe she is a good person to keep. But Beth's plan, her new plan is that she wants to backdoor Vic. And so Braden goes and relays this to Rohan, and Rohan is thrilled, of course, because it is better for his game, obviously, if Victoria becomes the target. And so Rohan is giving props to Braden, saying that you're good, because I do feel as though Beth has some sort of connection with Braden. She does trust what Braden is saying. She doesn't feel as though Braden is trying to work her into any sort of agenda. And so she's able to really hear what he has to say and take it into consideration without feeling as though he's doing it to help Rohan. So I'm super impressed by Braden's gameplay. These last few days, I think he's doing a really, really good job, and I think he's in a pretty good position. They didn't show it, but when Beth has her little moment where she's talking by herself, she does actually also say that her ideal final three is Brayden and Tina. So her Brayden Tina is who she wants to be in the final three, and she knows that she can't be there with Jed or Ty because she does feel as though she loses against either one of them. So she's hoping that by keeping Rohan in the game in some way, shape, or form, is that he will be able to go after the boys for her when she can't do it herself. So she is, with the potential of Victoria backdoor, taking care of her own game, but she's definitely not looking out for the boys, which is good for her. It is good for her, but I don't want the boys to go out. I don't. So I thought it was a smart plan. Beth decides to take Rohan to Wendy's and wants to secure the relationship. And that's one element that I do enjoy about all the sponsored content of Big Brother Canada, is the fact that it's an opportunity for us to obviously showcase Wendy's and then have some game chat and specifically selected game chat. So she brings Rohan, they go design their food. She goes down and she does get another video message from her best friend, who's obviously giving her some love and support. She brings up the food upstairs. Okay, this is a good question. So BB wants to know, do I see Beth the same at this point or smarter than you thought? I never thought that Beth was not smart. I felt as though she wasn't necessarily strategizing for herself. I think she was comfortable in being protected by the guys. And so she never had any power where she needed to make sure that she made a move for her game moving forward. So I am surprised that she's willing to give up the boys here. Like, she knows that that Rohan is coming after them. And so I am surprised that she would allow Rohan be coming after her boyfriend in the house, basically her boyfriend, her throuple. But it does show me that she is here to potentially win. And so it is the move for her to do in order for her to gain some respect with the jury members. I never thought, though, that Beth wasn't smart. I just didn't think that she was playing yet. And I haven't really thought that anybody's been playing yet. This is the first week that I see that people are making very specific moves that are better for their game. With Brayden specifically choosing how he speaks with Beth about, getting Victoria to be a potential backdoor nominee. Like, that is something that's very good for his game. It's very good for him to be keeping Rohan in the house. It's very good for him to be so strong in that relationship with Beth. And it's also very good for Beth to keep Rohan, who isn't necessarily coming after her right now, to go after the boys that she will never want to take a shot at. So I think it's just circumstantial. I don't think that I would be thinking of her any smarter if, say, Jed had won. I don't think that she would have been pushing for Rohan to stay. I think it's just because she's in power now that she's able to actually make specific moves that is benefiting her game. So, yeah. It's kind of like Tina. Like, Tina isn't really doing that much for her game. She actually started doing a little bit more campaigning this week. Obviously, she's a potential person to be going up on the block, so she's going to have to talk to a little bit of game to Beth. But I think that if she was in the head of household position, you would see a lot more of her gameplay. And so, and you'd see her maybe lining up like her moves moving forward. With Kiefer, we didn't really get to see that much gameplay because I think he really does want to work with the Sunsetters, and I think he's loyal to that. So he wants to be Final Four with the Sunsetters, Final Five with Final 5 and 6 with Tina and Tara, kind of thing, or like the, adjacent alliances. So the pre-90s and the Sunsetters or the throuple. Like, he kind of wants to be in good with both of them. So I don't think that he was going to ever do anything specific to go against one side or the other. I think he's just trying to play the middle. So he didn't make a huge game move because he just wants to still play the middle. So with Rohan, though, Rohan also is making some good points, and Beth is actually listening, because sometimes I find when Rohan makes these good strategic points, it's to people that don't want to hear what he has to say. And so he does mention that, it's better for her to keep him, which is true. It's better for the boys to keep Vic, which is true. And so he does put this out there, but Beth is willing to listen to this strategy, this advice right now, because she's in the power position and it's something that would directly affect her and her game and her longevity in the game. So Rohan was doing a pretty good job, I would say, right now. But I do want to know, when was the last time you had a Frosty? I actually do not remember the last time I had a Frosty, but I remember what it tastes like. And I also remember when I was living in Montreal, we used to make these things called chillers, which is an alcoholic Frosty. So it's Bailey's, and you put Bailey's with ice in like one of those like blenders that you'd make like a margarita or a daiquiri in, and you really just froth up some Bailey's and ice, and it really tastes like a delicious Frosty with a little bit of boozy kick. So we call those chillers. Very delicious. But I haven't had an actual Frosty in forever. And I feel like I really want one now, but I never leave my house. I live in Toronto. We're on like the 17th lockdown. And so I just don't go anywhere. So Wendy's is not on my list of places to go visit until lockdown has been lifted. Ugh. So Beth and Ty and Jed are all in the storage room. Well, first Beth, hold on, let's scrap that. It was Beth talking to Jed in the head of household room and saying that she right now she thinks that she wants to do Vic. And so Jed wants to know what Ro had to say, and then I believe Ty comes in and they're talking about this whole situation. Then the next scene was all of them in the pantry, if I'm not crazy. Not sure. But they're all talking together about like maybe that's it's the move to backdoor Victoria, which it is for Beth, but it's not for the boys. Like we're saying this over and over again. It is for Beth and not for the boys. And I'm happy that the guys aren't strong arming Beth here. They're allowing her to make her own decision. And even Jed is recognizing that like, hey, I want this to be her head of household. I want her to do what's going to be best for her game. But he's talking to Ty and he's like, this is not good for our game though. Victoria doesn't want us gone. Victoria doesn't want us gone. So yeah, they're basically though going to set this up for V to be a potential backdoor. But the boys are saying that there's no way that they are ever going to take Rohan off with the veto or anything like that. Like if Rohan is on the block at the end of the week, they are going to take him out no matter who is up next to him. So I thought that was a good thing for them to really put their foot down and say like, I'm not going to take Rohan off the block. But if he's not there, potentially then Victoria could be a good option after that. So this is where we see Beth talking to herself. I think this was Friday morning. And she doesn't want to be looked at as being shielded by the boys this whole time. She wants to be making her own moves. She wants to be making her own decision. She wants this head of household to really be a way for people to see her separate from those guys. And so she knows she can't be in the final two with them. And it's true. So she's hopefully going to be setting up her week in order for her to have the best shot at winning if she gets to the end. Yes, I was glad to see them respecting Beth by also saying they would not use the veto, LOL. But like, there's no way that, like, why would you use the veto on your actual enemy? He says he's coming for you. No matter what, he is coming for you guys. Like, there's no way that you could use the veto on him. Like, it's just like, it would just be a dumb move. Even if they made some sort of deal, like we know that all deals can be broken in the Big Brother house. Checks can be bounced, deals can be broken. Like your word is nothing, like especially to your enemy. And so I wouldn't be using the veto. Would you, BB? Would you really be using the veto on your biggest enemy that's also good at winning competitions? That's been targeting you this whole time? I don't think so. But yes, I was happy though that they are respecting if she decides that she wants to have Victoria be the person that leaves. but this is after the Roe goes up on the block. So it's kind of like if Roe wins the veto and takes himself off, then they'll be okay with with Victoria leaving. Exactly. They can't give her the whole thing. They can't be like, yeah, Beth, we'll take him off the block for you. We'll keep him up there. Like, then why is she nominating him then if they're going to take him off the block? So Beth does warn Rohan, saying that, like, hey, I'm going to put you up on the block. I'm going to say that you're my target, but I just don't want you to get spooked. And I think that Rohan's handling it really well. I think he knows that he's not necessarily her target, that there is a potential backdoor Vic plan in action. I think that he feels decently safe here, especially since he's been the veto king in these last 2 weeks. So he took it pretty well, I thought, especially because of the bigger plan that is in place. So it comes to the nomination ceremony. She says, Tara's not my target. Says, Rohan, you know, you're coming for me and the people that I'm working with. So that's why you're my target. And that's why I'm putting you on the block. So this is Rohan's 4th time on the block in what, like 6 weeks? Like, poor guy. He's just basically on the block almost the entire time. So Tara says that the gloves are off now and she's going to have to start winning. And yeah, she's going to have to start winning because she could become the perpetual pawn here if she doesn't. I thought it was a really good episode. I think that they're showing quite a bit of what's been going on in the live feeds. It's still quite behind, so hopefully they catch everything up by Wednesday and kind of show everything that a lot of the conversations that's been going on, because there has been a lot. Yeah, it's definitely been a great week. Talking about, like, watching the feeds have been pretty fun this weekend. It was happy Easter to us with some delicious feeds. Rohan is a Rachel Riley, LOL. Okay. I would think that more Victoria is the Rachel Riley type, but I think you're referring to all the nominees. But I'm thinking about the she's so loud and winning competitions and kind of being the target. That's kind of Rachel-y to me, just kind of being annoying, and then eventually you start to like them. But yeah, Rohan is on the block quite a bit. So BB, Natalie, do you have anything else you want to talk about before I say sayonara? This is definitely going to be an interesting week, depending on what happens. I cannot wait to see it. Joining me on the block, though, next Wednesday, or this Wednesday, will be Jonathan Oliveira. We will be live after the episode, so expect us on at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, BB. I couldn't have done it without you and Natalie with me here on the block with Reality Pop. If you haven't done so already, please do us a favor and subscribe. We're going to be your new hub for all things reality. On Reality Pop, we're also talking about the Challenge All-Stars. So if you want to see a little bit more of me, we'll be doing my own challenge updates as well on Reality Realness with 3 S's. But on Reality Pop at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing a recap of the Challenge All-Stars. So if you guys are a fan of that, which most of you, I know you are, please join us there as well. So Wednesday on the block with Jonathan, and Friday, Reality Pop with the Challenge All-Stars. Hope you are all doing amazing, and we'll see you Wednesday. Ciao. Goodbye.